Welcome back to Nightstand Coffee. I'm Todd.
And I'm Jennifer.
This is Season 2, Episode 9.
And we are going to talk about negative reciprocity.
Negative reciprocity.
Which is a fancy way of talking about like...
tit for tat.
Tit for tat, yeah. So we'll get to that in a second. I do want to report back on our Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, okay.
That it went way better than I thought it was going to. Thank you for your help.
It was great.
We got it done. We ate by like, what, 12, 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did good. We were way on it, and I was super surprised by that. We had leftovers for days.
It was good.
I mean, that's what Thanksgiving's all about, is the leftovers. Do we really?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Couple more sandwiches.
Yeah, we did ham instead of turkey. That felt easier. But I think our girls all wanted ham instead.
They did. None of our girls really care for turkey. Although I'm thinking maybe I'll deep fry one next year.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. That's a whole year away.
I know.
Let me rest in the ease that we made it. We survived it. Don't make me worry about next year.
It really was good. I mean, all the way around. Just really enjoyable Thanksgiving.
It was. It was restful.
I miss not having your parents.
Yeah, I agree.
But
it was nice to get together as a family, and it went well, and we had a good time just kind of doing a whole lot of nothing.
And we're at that stage in life where all of our kids want to bring a friend with them.
Yeah.
And so we had some
bonuses, which is fun.
Some honorary Stanleys for Thanksgiving this year.
It was nice.
It was a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. So we want to talk about tit for tat.
Yeah.
Is there a song?
Negative reciprocity.
Is there a song that says tit for tat in it?
No, all I can think of is T for two and two for T. But I was thinking about the James Brown song, The Big Payback, but you didn't know that song. So
big surprise.
He starts yelling out the names of foods in the middle of it, which is really cool.
Okay.
You know, it's this whole thing. It's James Brown.
Well,
smothered steak. Ah! You know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure it's amazing. So when we talk about...
It's my favorite James Brown song.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't typically have favorite songs.
Well, that's my favorite James Brown song.
Oh, okay.
It goes,
it's quantified.
You're getting down with my girlfriend, and that ain't right. It's cool.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll just have an episode of you singing your random favorite James Brown song, so you can say it at the top of your lungs, at the top of your range.
Anyway.
Okay. Any other lyrics that you need to?
So if you're interested, go check out The Big Payback by James Brown. Okay. It's worth your time.
Okay, according to Todd Stanley.
Yeah.
Okay. So on track here, we're talking about negative reciprocity.
Negative reciprocity.
Okay. So what does that mean to you? When I said that phrase to you, you're like, "Ooh, that's a good one." What does that mean to you?
Well, that means if I do something that you don't like or say something that you don't like, then rather than responding in a healthy way, you give it right back to me, only up a notch, right? It's like you one-up me. And then in return, I one-up you, and then you one-up me, and things just escalate. And so negative reciprocity is kind of that spiral and kind of building of negative words or actions,
right.
or yeah.
Well, I think if we take it away from a marriage situation and you look at it for siblings, you really can see it with siblings.
Yeah.
Right? Like this, you do this. If you have a sibling, you fight.
Yeah, so I mean it's from it's reciprocate, right? That's the word that this comes from, right? And so if I, when you're a kid, so I would put my finger in my brother's sandwich, and then he would reciprocate in kind, only instead of sticking one finger in my sandwich, he would stick all 5 of his fingers in my sandwich, right? So he turned it up a notch, negative reciprocity.
Is this a real life story?
It's a real life thing. Yeah, we would always, we would walk by, and if our brother had a sandwich on a plate, we would poke our finger through it. And
that's so not nice.
And so then they would smash your whole sandwich with their hand, just mash it down on, that kind of thing, and you just kind of go back and forth, and one up your brother until it's, fisticuffs or wrestling in the floor.
But that sounds a little more playful. But was it aggravation or were you mad?
Depend on the day.
Okay.
Most of the time it was just brothers playing and aggravating each other. But on the, on the wrong day, it was anger,
Okay.
So,
yeah. And so then we end up doing that with our spouse if we're not careful.
Yeah.
And so you had scripture about that earlier when we were talking about it.
Yeah. And, the thing that came to mind was just the proverb that talks about how a soft answer turns away wrath. Yeah. And then of course, there's the there's the, where scripture talks about not to let evil conquer you, but instead conquer evil with good, don't return evil for evil, but instead overcome evil with good, that kind of idea. And so, or Jesus just saying, love your enemies, right? And so we don't, unfortunately, sometimes the enemy is married to us, right?
Right.
And we don't, none of us set out for that to be the intention, but we can get to a place in our marriages where we feel like that we are at odds with one another all the time, or we're in conflict with one another all the time. And so sometimes, and I think you would agree, there have been seasons even in our marriage where I felt like that you were against me, right? And so in a very real sense, I felt like you were my enemy. And so what scripture would tell us then is to love your enemies. Do good to those who are, and so.
Well, and it's almost like when you're fighting with your spouse, like you say something, like they say something to you, and like you have an option with how you respond.
Yeah.
And if you're not in a good place, you often respond just as meanly.
Right.
Right. Or worse. Right. You got to go for the jugular.
Yeah.
Right. And you make it work. You say just as mean, just as hurtful things. And so like when something's said to you, you have an option. What are you going to do with it? Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like, who's going to choose to change the pattern, to stop the what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the right word. Well, just to stop how it normally goes down, like just this process.
Right.
So I had a friend not too long ago that was talking to me about an exchange she had with her husband, that she could tell that they had grown in their relationship because he had said something to her. And usually when he says that kind of thing to her, like it's a big blowout fight. And so she had said, where does that coming from? Right. Like she knew, like, wait a minute, that when you say that to me, that usually means something's going on.
Yeah.
What's this about? And so then
which goes back to the idea about being a student of your spouse.
Right.
Right. It's if we understand what makes them tick, what they like, what they don't like, what their kind of, their tells are, if I'm going to, to use a poker term, like if they're upset, maybe they don't say it outright, but there'll be something that, that's a tell. And then you ask a question like that, they make that negative comment and you go, hey, where's that coming from?
Right. And so then they were able to talk it out. And so then normally what would have been like a fight that would go on for a couple weeks, like lasted for maybe, 30 minutes. Right, because they talked it out. They were able.
Great.
It was huge, and so like she and I were celebrating that, going, "Oh my goodness, look how far you guys have come!" Because this would have been a thing that would have lasted a long time.
Yeah,
and like you guys got to the bottom of this real quick, and so like we were super excited about that. And so the fact that they had grown past that was a big deal, but she had an option at that point, right, to be able to go, okay, wait a minute, when you say things like that to me, then I have a choice.
Yeah,
right?
if I can ask, and how long have they been married?
10 or 11 years.
Okay, so they've been married for a little while.
Right.
How long have they been fighting like that?
The whole time.
Yeah.
Or longer.
Yeah, and so the point I'm trying to make is that this is not a pattern that can't be broken. This is not something that you're just destined to do. You can break out of this. You can, things can change. Mm-hmm. But you have to recognize the rut that you're in,
right?
And then someone, one of the two of you has to make a decision,
right?
That I'm going to respond differently, and then carry through with it, which is not always easy. Maybe even you have to catch yourself in a moment where they say something and you respond negatively, and then that light bulb goes off, and you go, "Hold on, that's not how I should have handled that.
I don't want to respond that way. Let me try again.
Let me try. Yeah."
Like, and have the maturity to do that.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you can catch yourself not handling it well, and it's okay to stop and say, this is not what I want to do.
Right.
Like it takes a man or a woman, right? It takes maturity to be able to stop and say, wait a minute, this isn't what I want to do this. Yeah. I don't want to act this way.
Right.
And so like some people they feel like I'm too far in now. I'm too far gone. I just have to ride this train all the way to the station. Actually, you don't. Like they have emergency brake for a reason, right? And so this is one of those times that you want to pull that cord and stop this train and go, I got to change this.
Yeah.
I don't want to be this way anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep doing this because this does not go well for us. And so be the one that pulls the cord and says, I'm stopping this right now.
Well, I don't know one of your axioms of life is I'll do that differently next time.
Right.
And so you can do that. You can choose to do things differently. And, that is just as true in your marriage as it is in any other part of your life.
Right.
And I know for a lot of people, they feel like that they can change things outside of their marriage, but they don't have that same outlook or hope for their marriage. You can do it differently.
Right.
You can do it differently.
And you have to.
Absolutely.
Because you have to change. Because you don't want to stay the same.
Yeah, and your marriage is worth fighting for.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Like you are in this for life. That's the expectation. When you stand before the pastor and before God and you say, I'm committed to this person for the rest of my life. Like, why would you say, but I'm going to change it? I'm going to go and I'm going to be miserable forever. I've signed up for this and this is a junky marriage and like we're not getting along well, but this is how it is. And so like, why would you want that? When you stood there, you're not thinking that like in 3 years we're going to like be each other's enemies and hate spending time together and not want to be in the same room. But this is what I signed up for, and it's not worth changing.
Yeah,
that's not how you saw it,
right?
And so do something different about it.
Yeah,
and it's okay to ask for help, right? It's okay to talk to someone and say, "Hey, this isn't going well."
Yeah,
and get some input about it.
Well, and to recognize that all of us can fall into ruts,
right?
The idea that, people, are just as in love, 10 years down the road as they were when the day they got married. Well, yeah, they can be, and maybe, and should be actually even more deeply in love with each other, but it looks really different.
We weren't. I don't think we were. We were in a rough place in 10 years down the road.
Right. I'm just saying it can happen, and if you work at it, it should happen. But what I'm trying to get at is it will look different. Mm-hmm. Because most people when they get married are still in that kind of infatuation stage. They're still really enamored with each other. They haven't had to really bump against each other in the normal things of life, or deal with financial woes and struggles, or deal with kids, or all of that. So we shouldn't be surprised when conflict comes. We shouldn't be surprised when we have seasons where we're at odds with each other, or disagreements and that kind of thing. But we need to be prepared to handle them well. Mm-hmm. And the reason we fall into these kind of negative reciprocity patterns is because we're not prepared to handle them well, either because it wasn't modeled for us by our parents, or because we have some insecurities that we haven't dealt with, and that like a man feels disrespected, and because he's insecure, disrespect then like is responded to with anger rather than saying, "Hey, hold on a minute. That feels really hurtful to me," right? Because you haven't developed the ability to do that because of the insecurity that you're dealing with, or and maybe you could speak to something, maybe that women deal with more but is that making sense?
Yeah, I think women feel dismissed. Yeah. Like when they express their concern, then their spouse just dismisses whatever. They're like, that's dumb, or like, I don't know why you feel that way, or they don't feel like it's important to them, and they just don't entertain it. Their spouse just doesn't take it as seriously.
But I guess and so what I'm trying to get at, I guess, is that there are those wounds that all of us have, right? From, and because of the nature of a marriage relationship, there will be times when those wounds get touched on. And if they're not healed, then we respond like in anger or in outbursts, or maybe sometimes it's in the silent treatment. Sometimes it's, but then that negative kind of spiral happens out of that. And so part of what I'm trying to get, I guess, and sorry guys, I feel like I'm rambling a lot, but we have to deal with our own woundedness.
Yeah, for sure.
In order to get to a place where we can respond properly in these kinds of situations. But what we tend to do instead is to point our finger at our spouse and say, if they would just change, right? If they would stop doing that, or if they were different, or if they, and we lay the blame on other people. And in this case, on our spouse, right? We put the blame on them and think that they should be the ones who are changing. They need to change their behavior. They need to change their attitude. They need to change whatever, rather than recognizing there's something in me that's responding negatively to what they're doing. Now, that doesn't mean that they may not need to change how they're approaching it. That doesn't make them right.
Yeah.
But it means, but I can't make you right. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I can go, okay, well, what is it in me that makes me respond that way?
Well, and so I live my life with the understanding that I'm responsible for my own behavior. Like, I'm responsible for how I respond to things, what I say about things, like how I conduct myself in my life. And so it's probably come from like doing the work that I do. And I may have talked about this on here before, but it's like, I understand that like when my clients come in the room, like I'm going to talk to them and I'm going to share my very best and whatever the Lord leads me and gives me to say to them, I'm going to say to them. And then when they walk out of the room, they're going to do what they're going to do. So I can't take credit for their success, and I can't take ownership for their failure. Like, I just can't. There's a separateness from that, right?
Yeah.
And so then I've taken that into my own life. And so like, I can't take ownership for your success or failure, and the same with my kids. Like, there's a separation there. I'm responsible for my own behavior, period.
Right.
And so then that's the same thing. No matter how you treat me, I'm responsible for how I respond to that.
Yeah, but I don't think everybody lives that way.
I know they don't. Absolutely, I know they don't.
Yeah.
But I think we have to understand that. We are responsible for ourselves. So then no matter what you say or do to me, I have to take ownership of my stuff. Now, that doesn't mean that you can treat me like dirt and that that's okay. But I can't say, well, you said that to me and that's why I acted that way.
And sorry. And I think that's one of the markers of growth and maturity is that we take responsibility for ourselves, for our own actions, for the decisions that we've made, without any regard for what the other person has done. Right?
Yeah.
And if you're still in a place where you're pointing your finger at your spouse and saying, if they would just do this, or if they would just do that, then I would. Well, you're putting the emphasis in the wrong place. And honestly, maybe you need to grow. Maybe you need to mature some more. Maybe there's an immaturity. Maybe there's a woundedness that you've not dealt with. Maybe you need to talk to somebody about it and go, hey, every time my wife does this, or every time my husband does this, I respond,
right?
In anger, or I get my feelings hurt, or whatever. I don't know what that's about. Or maybe you do know what it's about, and you just need to talk to somebody about it and go, I think this is why I respond this way. I'm not sure how I can fix it, or how I can.
Well, and so I been working with somebody, and this isn't his name. I'll call him Johnny, but like, he's been working really hard wanting to get his wife back. And so he's like, what do I need to do? I need to be doing these things. I want to do these things. I want these things to change. And I'm like, listen, you don't need to be worrying about getting her back. You need to worry about making these changes in your life so that you're going to be the best Johnny you can be.
Yeah.
And if that gets her back, great. But regardless, you're going to be the best version of yourself that you can be. You're going to be healthy. You're going to be whole and complete. And so if that attracts her, great.
Right.
If it doesn't, then you're still the best version of yourself that you can be. And that's what you need to be worrying about. And so like, our behavior and actions can't be dependent upon those around us. Like, we've got to align ourselves with Jesus, period, and look like him. And in that, hopefully we will attract the people around us, right? And get that, but you may not, and that shouldn't be our goal. Our lives should align with Jesus regardless.
Yeah.
And so then I can't say, well, he does this to me and that's why I react that way. Like I can't live my life that way.
Yeah.
Now, like it can be triggering and it can be hurtful, but I'm still responsible for how I respond to that. Right. And I don't want you to treat me badly, but I can't respond poorly to you simply because you treat me badly.
Yeah, no, that's what children do.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that, on more than one occasion, multiple, I couldn't count the number of occasions probably that I would have to say that kind of thing to our girls when they were little, because it would be like, why did you do that? Well, because she hit me. It was like, well, no, I mean, I'll deal with the fact that she hit you or she did whatever she did, but you did this because you were mad, right? You responded in this way, and you're responsible for that. She's responsible for what she did to you. You're responsible for what you did to her. And you can't blame it on each other. These are choices. These are decisions that we're making. And when we recognize that, like these are choices that I'm making.
Right.
If I choose to call you names, it's a choice that I made. You didn't make me do it, no matter what you did, right? If I choose to give you the silent treatment for days or, whatever negative kind of pattern that you're in, it's a choice that you're making. And you may feel powerless against it, honestly. You're not, first of all. And then secondly, we don't have to do this alone. We don't have to do this on our own. There are people in your life that would, if you'll be vulnerable and talk with them, they'll come alongside you and help you. Find a mentor, that somebody that you feel like is handling these kinds of things well, their marriage is going well. And then most importantly, take it to the Lord. We are not left to our own devices to try and produce this fruit of the Spirit in our lives. It's called the fruit of the Spirit for a reason. It's God who produces that in us.
Right.
Right. And so continue to take it to the Lord. Spend time with Jesus. The more time I spend with Jesus, hopefully, right? The more, and I think, I'm not saying this of myself. Maybe I should just say it this way. The more time we spend, any of us spend with Jesus, the more we look like Jesus.
Right.
The more I look like Jesus, the better husband I am, the better father I am, the better pastor I am, the better,
Right. Well, and so I wanted to circle back a little bit to, you'd said, a sign that I have here in my office, and I do talk about it frequently, which is I'll do that differently next time. And so like as opposed to like beating myself up with, oh, I did it so badly, I can't believe I handled it that way. Like instead saying, okay, so what did I do so bad? Okay, so what did I learn from this? How am I going to do it differently when this situation presents itself next time? Like learn from it, like tangibly say, okay, so when this situation pops up, I'm going to handle it differently, and this is what I'm going to do. Yeah. Right. And so I think something that we need to work on is apologizing. Right.
Absolutely.
I think that is something that spouses are not good at.
Yeah.
We're not good at saying sorry. I think women might be a little better at it than men. Not always. But like I do find when I'm working with, I see it actually a lot with college age boys. They are not comfortable apologizing. They feel like it's a sign of weakness when they apologize. I've had several scenarios lately that they feel like it's a sign of weakness to say they're sorry.
And what's so funny about that is that they're not strong enough to do it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So talk to me about apologies.
They suck. I mean, nobody likes to have to say I'm sorry because it's admitting a wrong. Right? It's admitting a wrong, right? Well, that was great.
Yeah, that's great.
It's admitting a wrong.
Correct.
And we don't want to admit when we're wrong. I don't want to admit that I've done wrong. There's shame associated with it. I feel ashamed of what I've done. And so I don't want to have to grapple with that. I certainly don't want to, it's vulnerability. I don't want to have to expose myself to you and admit that I was wrong, because what if you don't receive the apology? What if you take that as an opportunity to, stab me in my soft underbelly when I, you know what I mean? Like when I'm vulnerable, you kick me when I'm down. I mean, there are all of those kinds of possibilities that surround an apology. And then sometimes it's just that whole, well, they should apologize to me first. We feel justified in what we did because we're still putting the emphasis and the impetus on the other person. Mm-hmm. So it's a mixed bag. It's a lot of stuff that makes us not want to apologize.
Well, and see, to me, that the issue too is like it. To me, someone that can't apologize is that you're right. Is absolute weakness. I'm troubled by someone that can't apologize. Like that's not taking responsibility for your actions. It's not taking ownership for what you've done, and that's small.
Well, and it's a disregard for the other person.
Yeah.
Right?
It's dismissive.
If I consider others as more important than myself, mm-hmm. then I won't mind apologizing when I'm wrong, because their well-being and their feelings and their good will come before my pride.
Right.
And man, nowhere is that more important than in the marriage relationship, where I should be considering you first all the time. Mm-hmm. Right? I should be putting you first. In fact, what I promised when I stood at an altar before God and man was that I would forsake all others for you. Mm-hmm. Right? And that means me too in some ways. Right? I will deny myself for your good.
Right. Well, and so another one of my like life live-bys would be like I do say I want to live my life in a way that I don't have to apologize. And what I mean by that is it's not that I'm not willing to, because I'm very quick to apologize. I will own my stuff very, very quickly and tell you that I'm sorry. But what I mean by that is that I want to be so mindful of my actions that I don't want to behave in a way that's going to require me to apologize to someone else. Like I want to make sure that I'm conducting myself in a way that's not going to require an apology.
Yeah.
That I'm going to put someone else before me. That I'm going to consider my actions and how they're going to impact someone else. So that I don't want to have to apologize. I want to be so aware of what I do that I'm not going to have to apologize.
Yeah. Jesus never had to say he was sorry.
That's good. Isn't that in that movie? Is it that, what is it? Love means I never had to say you're sorry.
Oh, that's that old love story.
Yeah. That's where the name Jennifer came from, by the way.
Yeah. And then it was like the most popular name.
Yeah. From 1970 to 1992. That's where it came from. That's a terrible, I don't even agree with that statement.
Oh no, it's
awful.
It's a fantasy. It's not.
Love means I never have to say
real. No, love means saying I'm sorry.
Heck yeah. That should be a tattoo. There's no more truer statement is that you have to always be in a state of being willing to say I'm sorry.
Now, I know that what they were trying to get at in that movie, and by the way, that movie's, most of you were not born maybe when it came out. So,
but we haven't looked at our demographics. Most of them have been. Go ahead.
Okay. A lot of you weren't. So anyway, the point that they were trying to get at in the movie is that if I love you, I will forgive you even before you ask. That's really what that means when they say love means never having to say you're sorry. Mm-hmm. And there's some truth to that, right? I should forgive you even before you ask if I love you. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't ask.
Heck yeah.
In a relationship where no one ever says they're sorry, what you end up with is anger and bitterness, and not
right.
And so
right, to walk around I shouldn't have to ask. Right. I shouldn't have to say I'm sorry. You should just know that I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you should love me so much that I should never have to.
If you love me, I shouldn't have to say I'm sorry. Yeah, that's dumb.
That is. And so it's
a recipe for disaster.
Right. And so I think there's some of us out there that need to practice saying sorry.
Yeah.
That would just change the whole dynamic of your marriage if you went to your spouse and apologized and just said, you know what? I'm sure there's something that you need to apologize for. And you just go and own it and just say, hey, I need to apologize for this. Like, I need to tell you I'm sorry for fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And just own your stuff.
Well, but you know what? For some people, they feel so justified in their negative response, they don't even think they need to apologize.
That's hard.
And the reality is, if you have spoken to or treated your spouse in a way that demeans or diminishes them, it doesn't matter if you feel justified in what you did. You need to apologize. Mm-hmm. If nothing else, for the good it will do to break your pride for the good that it will do to humble you. As an act of submission to God, right? You need to go and apologize.
I would even add this. If nothing comes to mind that you need to apologize for, pray about it.
Yeah.
Right? Like ask God to reveal to you what it is that you need to apologize for. Like, God, bring it to my remembrance. Put in my heart what it is that I need to go to my spouse and apologize for. And then also prompt me if there's something that I am giving reciprocity for, right? Like if I am being angry and giving it back when I shouldn't be, prompt me, like give me that conviction in my heart and say, hey, this isn't good. You don't need to be doing this. Stop me if I'm saying something I shouldn't be saying, and help me to know when I need to back off. Right? And male or female, either one of you, it doesn't have to be the female just because I'm the one saying it. Like either one of you.
Well, no, what I would say is men, and I think maybe I've said this before on the podcast, pursue being first. Like, the pattern that we see in the Apostle Paul says that the marriage relationship is a reflection of Christ and the church. So if we look at the relationship between Christ and the church, it's Jesus who initiates, and it's the church, it's his people, it's us who respond. It's the love of Christ that draws us to him. It was the sacrifice of Christ that made provision for our forgiveness and for our redemption. It's the kindness of God that leads us to repentance. It's Jesus is always first. And so as a husband, my encouragement to you is pursue that pattern in your relationship. Be first. Be the first one to tell your wife that you love her. Be the first one to apologize when there's conflict. Be the first one to serve. Be the first one. Lay your life down for your wife in the same way that Christ laid his life down for the church. That is what the scripture tells us that we ought to do. And that means that you got to be the leader. You got to be first. Lead in every way. Lead, and that includes apologizing. You should be the first one. Don't wait on your wife, and don't say, well, when she tells me she's sorry, or when, be first.
And even if you feel like she's the one that started the fight.
Absolutely.
Go and say, hey, I'm sorry we're fighting.
Yeah.
I don't want to be fighting.
Yeah. Or even if it's, hey, I'm sorry that I responded to you in that way. When you said this, I'm sorry that that I reacted the way that I did. Or
yeah, that's good. That's really good stuff. And so, you don't have to have negative reciprocity.
You don't
have to keep fighting. Like any one of you can throw up your hands and say, hey, we don't have to do it this way.
Right.
And here's the thing too. If you've noticed this pattern, I think it's okay for either one of you, husband or wife, to say, hey, we tend to give it back to each other, and I want that to change. So you're going to notice a difference in me. I'm going to try really hard not to be snippy.
Yeah.
Like if you snip at me, I'm going to try hard not to snip back. And so own it. Like give a heads up that you're going to do something differently. So you might notice me if you snip at me, and if I say something, I might stop and put my hands up and go, hey, I don't want to do this. Like have some accountability in that. Have a conversation when you're not fighting that, hey, I'm going to try to do something differently. I think that's a good thing because it's accountability. And try it out. Try something differently. If you're listening to the podcast, hopefully it's because you're wanting something to be different in your marriage.
Yeah.
Either that or you're waiting for us to say something really crazy. That's what our kids listen for because they want to.
They want to. Yeah.
They want to hear our dirt,
Yeah.
so they can make fun of us at home. Anyway, okay. Anything else that you want to add before we sign off on this?
No. I mean, we weren't as funny today. I don't think. Maybe not.
I didn't have any good funny jokes for you.
That's okay.
Maybe next time we'll come up with something really hilarious next time.
Yeah, but no more. Still no sign off.
No, we're waiting.
Tagline. No.
We only think about it till the end.
I was thinking about this. There's a song by a band called Alabama Shakes. It's, I don't want to fight no more.
Okay.
So
yeah, I know that. Yes, I won't sing it for you, but I know what you're talking about.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Till next time.
Till next time.